I built a $553,000 business from scratch in 2025. And in this video, I'm gonna break down every single thing that I did. But the thing about this online business space is I focus on different things to everyone in the space. And I wanna go through them in this video. Exactly the things that I achieved, exactly the things that I focused on, the different things that I did to most people who are actually trying to scale their business, and also exactly what I'm focusing on in 2026, having known what I know now in 2025. Because I was working a corporate job, sleeping on sofas at the start of 2025. And now I sit here having hosted masterminds around the world, done group trips, spending more time with my family, and also flying business class as well all the time. And I couldn't be more happy. And a text like this is a great example of that. But this video is for you if you want to maybe do the same thing, if you're skeptical about the online space, or maybe sick of the Dubai Lambo boys, or if you want genuine insights into what I've learned scaling at such a rapid speed. But firstly, I want to reflect about what I actually achieved in 2025 to give you context as to how I did the things so that you can get the advice on how you can copy it as well. I started 2025 working out what did I actually want to achieve. I firstly wanted to escape my corporate job and sustain myself. I wanted to prove people wrong that I could quit a very good job. I wanted to tell my friends and family that my great consulting job that I got up here was actually not the be all and end all. I then also wanted to make sure that I proved to people that the online space was a legit way to make money. You probably know how many people are skeptical about this space. Thirdly, I wanted to find fulfillment and actually enjoy the day that I was waking up for. And lastly, I wanted to create freedom for myself, location and time freedom, be able to travel around the world. This part, I'm gonna tell you what I achieved, just because I wanna make this as a digital diary for myself, but it's important to contextualize it before I give you the advice, which is we worked with 117 clients across businesses and masterminds. I got 17 people from completely brand new offers to 10K a month. We got a 78% retention rate, which is pretty unheard of in the online education space. An average 9.7 product rating, 1 refund out of 117 people, $553,000 cash collected at roughly a 75% profit margin, 2 six-figure months in a row. I have a growing team. I have a head of sales, assistant and a CSM, an appointment setter, and a media squad as well, which has between 5 and 10 people in. I think it's pretty cool. I pay 2 people more than the strategy consulting salary that I was earning in London, the thing that I idolized. I now have 2 people on my team that I actually pay more than that. I've worked with some of my closest friends, received 3 "You changed my life" text messages, and hosted a mastermind with Matt Gray in Bali. I've done this while building a community of clients that I'm actually proud of and that they're genuine friends. I've held a retreat in Portugal and 2 masterminds around the world, and I'm about to hold another retreat and a mastermind in the next month. And I also love this message that I got from someone that I had to blur out the names, but he paid for some masterminds in Bali and said that mine was more valuable. I do kind of love that as well. But more importantly, and I think this is just as interesting if you are looking to scale your online business, is firstly, I've never ever felt better in my life. I genuinely have made old Sol proud. Sol, who was sat in his corporate job hating his life, I've made him proud of what I've managed to achieve. I've been to Bali, Australia, Greece, Portugal, Dubai, Spain, France to ski, Switzerland, and UK, all in 2025, all while making $500,000 with my online business. I've achieved actual separation with work and time. I've spent 4 months between October and January where I genuinely lived my absolute best life. I was able to work 2 hours a day and absolutely love what I was doing. I was in Australia, I was in France, and I loved my life, and I was still making money, which is very cool. I spent January skiing and having a pint or 2, which I never would have allowed myself to have in the past. I get to regularly fly in business class, which is very cool. I never have to look at a bill when I'm paying for food. I've taken my mum on her dream holiday, met some of the kindest, most ambitious people, friends, and have homes all around the world that I can now go and visit. I've got told by someone that I never stop smiling, which I think is a great compliment. I had 30 people to a holiday in Bali, cured my feeling that I wasn't doing enough, had pure emotional stability. I like this example, which is, you may relate to, which is, I feel like I could crash my car right now and I would just get up and get on with my day. And that's because I have the emotional stability that I've always needed in my life. And most importantly, I think for me, is I've realized what is important in my life. I can't sort of move to Dubai and I'm checking out Cape Town as a place to live. I've realized that community, family, and impact are the 3 things I care about. And that is so important because I see so many people my age, younger, even older, who have messed up, who spend too much time chasing this money, this material world, which you can never win at the end of the day. And I'm so happy that I had that realization at the end of 2025 as well. So that is me in effect bragging to you, but I wanted to say all that because 2025 changed my life. But now I'm going to talk about what I did and what I'm confident you can use to have a life-changing year for yourself as well. Firstly, I realized in terms of life, attitude, and mindset, which you and I probably both know is the most important thing when it comes to definitely scaling an offer from that 0 to that 10K a month mark, all the way up to that 50K a month mark. A business is only as good as the person running it. Your personal flaws will translate to business flaws. If you're super unorganized in something, then your business will be unorganized. If you hate doing something in your personal life, then it will also reflect in your business. And I'm pretty bad at being data focused. I like big ideas and I hate getting down into detail. And I found that that was also playing out in my business. The second is that I was clear on what chapter I was in. For the first 6 months of my time building this business, the first 6 months of 2025, I grinded so hard. I said no to almost everything. I hardly drank, I hardly went out. I focused and I locked in. And that's because I was in that chapter. For the last 4 months of 2025, I had the best months of my entire life. And that's because I knew I was in a chapter where I was enjoying myself. One of the other things that I learned is how important resilience to failure and setbacks is. I had my Instagram account deleted and I spent 5 figures on ideas like vlogs and poor ads and trips that just didn't work. I learned resilience to failure and I accepted failure as a necessary part of scaling a business. I accepted that and that was a great thing and it helped me scale very quickly. One of the other things is that I accepted that this too shall pass. I know when times are good, a bad thing is coming around the corner, and when times are bad, a good thing is coming around the corner. And that emotional stability really helped me keep my cool when things like my Instagram account got deleted, when team members left, all that sort of thing. I kept my cool, and that helped me scale. And I see so many people growing online businesses who get so emotional about the smallest little things. And at the end of the day, I think that really stops people from scaling because you get caught on the things that don't matter so much. One of the things I also realized, which I've written down here, is that the worst thing that can happen is people's reality. And that means that I took the risk. I was constantly investing in myself from the start of 2025 when I paid $10,000 to someone when I only had $13,000 in my bank account, all the way to the end of 2025 when I paid $15,000 for literally a 2-day mastermind. I've always believed in taking the risk and knowing that in order to get to the next level, you have to take big swings. And knowing that the worst thing that can happen if I run out of money is that I can go back to most people's reality, which is just working a 9-to-5 job somewhere in the world. That's not that bad at the end of the day, and that is the worst reality from taking the risk. I also focused on taking responsibility. I promise you this works so well, is knowing that when you make a mistake, it is easier to say, what did I do wrong? What could I improve myself? And that is a really good way to keep moving forward, because when you work with team members and teammates, you say to them, look, how could I have been better here? And that allows you to have an open and honest conversation, and it really helps as well. So being like that and being a good team member for people is important because you need people to scale. And I wouldn't have been where I am today without having amazing teammates around me. One of the other things is life focus. And a lot of people talk to me about the fact that I have some very autistic traits when it comes to paying for productivity. For example, if someone comes to me at a dinner table and asks me what I'd like from the menu, I just get the waiter to choose for me. I'm always paying for cleaning, I'm always paying for Ubers, I'm always paying for people to do cooking for me, and that helped a lot. Life focus. I was singly focused on growing my business. You cannot build a business to the size that I'm very fortunate to say that I have if you focus on 30 things at once. If you're trying to get better at paddle while also trying to improve your running, while also trying to grow your own online business, you have to focus on one thing and you need to remove all of your distractions at the same time. The other thing that helped a lot for me, which I really recommend, is designing a business that actually works for you. Empty calendars for the morning are a game changer for me. I only have calls on a few days, and I make content that I enjoy, not the things that gets me views or even really gets me buyers, because I know that in the long term, I'm gonna win if I enjoy what I'm doing. And one of the things is that I literally love what I get to do. Someone came up to me at the gym the other day and said, so why are you bouncing around the gym? And it's because I had the day of my dreams ahead of me. I was filming a load of content, I was working with some awesome people, and that's because I've worked out what a business actually looks like that I want to work for. So I'd recommend work out what business you want to run. Is it spending loads of time on calls? Is it making a ridiculous amount of content? Is it just spending all your time in delivery? Whatever it is, work out what your dream business looks like, because then trust me, you'll get a lot more work done and move it much quicker as well. I also systemize everything, going back to the slightly autistic traits that I have, which is that I make sure that I have a to-do list, and everything on my to-do list can be put in by other team members, but that is my sole focus on working on things. And I have a media hub, which is like a Notion document where I have all my organic content, and I focus on making sure that everything is logged in there. And the last thing that has helped a lot, which is again, something that some people definitely find insufferable, is my God, I have absolute conviction and belief in myself. The two things that I think are a great example examples of this is firstly, I said to someone when I wasn't making any money at all, I didn't even have an offer, I said, when I make $100,000. And I remember them sitting down in the pub with me and going,
what do you mean you don't even have a business? Like, what do you mean making $100,000?
And it's because I believed, even when I didn't even have a business, that I was going to be the person that made $100,000 in a month. And that is exactly what I'd recommend you think. Is having belief and conviction, almost kind of outrageously delirious conviction in what you're going to do. The other thing is that I hosted a mastermind 3 months into being in Bali, and that's because I had conviction that I'm so good at what I do. Some people take months or if not years to actually speak in front of people. And I was like, no, I need to get in front of people as quickly as possible. And that's because of the conviction. So if there's one thing you take away from this section, then please know that having conviction and belief in yourself will get you a long way. Anyway, let me talk about the business stuff because this is going to be very useful when I then contextualize what I'm doing in 2026, which I think you're going to enjoy. But firstly, I was product focused first. Every single time I thought sales pay for dinner, results pay for retirement, I rebuilt the whole of my course halfway through the year, and I included AI army, roadmaps, onboarding flows, less modules, quick sound bites, everything like that. Because I kind of take the view that my business, even though it's an education coaching business, should be like a tech product where we have a head of product, someone who focuses exclusively on how can they make client success the best. Because I know that yes, making big sales is great for you as an online business owner, but if you can repeatedly get incredible results, not only are people gonna say great things about you, but it also makes you a lot more money through referrals and through testimonials and for affiliates, all that sort of thing. So I focused on making a great product before focusing on great acquisition techniques and making loads of content. The other thing, as I kind of mentioned in the lifestyle above here, is that I was purely focused. I made one product, I had one avatar, and one channel. I had a very clear product suite where we help people build and scale their knowledge-based business with one-on-one support. I then introduced a group program, which is the exact same thing, just without one-on-one support, but my product suite was not complicated. One of the things you may get asked is like, why aren't you posting on this platform? Everyone used to ask me, why don't you post on LinkedIn? And that's because I knew that distracting myself with trying to master LinkedIn alongside Instagram and also posting these long-form YouTube videos was just too much. One product, one avatar, and one channel served me so incredibly well. And that is something that I would highly recommend you focusing on and not getting confused with trying to do everything at once. Pure focus is a game changer. I also use what I call the theory of constraints, which I was always focused on my bottlenecks. I stopped needlessly making my product better when I had very happy clients. I see so many people doing that. They've got really happy clients and they try and make more modules and make their product better. While I think it is obviously good to be product first, sometimes people are spinning hamster wheels doing work that they don't need to do. Think about what is the thing that is gonna move your business forward, and then work on that relentlessly until you fixed it. Fix the constraint, fix the bottleneck, and your business will keep moving forward. I also didn't overcomplicate it. I copied people who had done it already. Why would I try and overcomplicate it? Why would I try and reinvent the wheel when so many people have done what I want to do? This is a great example when it comes to social media content. I spent the first few months of 2025 trying to be really creative and inventive, and then I started looking at social media content that performed well, working out how I could reflect it in my own story, my own journey. And that's when my social media started growing, and I've grown 15,000 followers in the space of 2025. Another thing in content which has served me so well is that everyone tells me that I'm super authentic, which I really appreciate. And I believe that putting what you feel in life and the feel about business is a great way to make a really magnetic personal brand. I don't shy away from the fact that I have no interest in being anything to do with Dubai Lambo boys and those insufferable people who pay for models and all that sort of thing. And I love the idea of building great businesses around people who care about their family and want to build with cool people. And that is me being super authentic, and I'm always authentic. And that has, I think, served me really well, having an amazing client base, but also building a personal brand that is very clear in its objectives. One thing that I realized very early into 2025 is YouTube is the go. When I was making short form for the whole of 2024 and I wasn't really promoting for a business, I made a few YouTube videos. And I remember then people saying, I watch your YouTube videos, and those people were the most engaged with all my short form content. And I went, I should probably make some more YouTube content. And then I found out that almost every single person who had bought from me through January, February, March, April were people who had watched my YouTube videos, the few YouTube videos I then posted. I realized that then YouTube was the go, and that the whole aim of short form was to accelerate the process of people watching my long form content. Trust is built over multiple hours, and you have to post YouTube content, otherwise people are realistically not gonna buy from you. So everything I do is about getting people to watch these videos, which obviously I appreciate you watching. I also invested in myself $51,000 in the whole of 2025. I invested in content coaching, 3K, I invested 10K in business operations, 3K in a Bali mastermind, 20K in ad support, and 15K at the end of December in a Sydney mastermind. Investing really is the greatest thing that I've ever done. And if you are someone who wants to grow their online business, then you can look at investing in me and using me as your mentor if you found this interesting. But also, I think it's so important to just invest in yourself. And investing has absolutely changed my life. And I will constantly in 2026 be spending more and more money. But before I tell you what I'm actually going to do in 2026, let me actually tell you about the mistakes that I made, because I don't want you to make these 7 mistakes. While a lot of these were successes, I also made a lot of mistakes. The first mistake that I made was not trusting my gut with hires and pleasing people much. I accepted poor performance and I didn't manage people enough because I basically didn't have enough high standards. I didn't own the fact that people weren't working to the standard I wanted. And when my gut told me something was wrong, I didn't execute and basically get rid of people. So that was something that I've learned very quickly, is to have incredibly high standards for the people around me. It means your company moves forward better, it means that you don't get frustrated, and it means at the end of the day, the other people who are trying to be served by your business or the people who are trying to help in your business don't get bottlenecked. So that's super important. The second is that I didn't track my data enough. As I said, the flaws in your business are the flaws that come from you personally, and I absolutely hate data tracking. So the thing about not tracking your data is that when times are tough, and trust me, 2025 might have sounded great, but there were plenty of tough times, I knew that I didn't have any data to actually tell me what was going wrong. Bad months, when the business is lower, is always compounded by not knowing what went wrong. If you can say to someone, okay, the reason I'm not making money is because of this, it's very easy to work out how to fix that. If you'll say you're not making money and you have no idea why, well, my God, that's very frustrating. So the third I found is that I basically didn't have any idea what to do with my money. I ran the business through my own personal account and I basically just confused that, and I didn't do proper P&Ls. And now my focus in 2026 is to actually act like a business owner as opposed to like vibe scaling, basically. I want to make sure that I put money into investments. I just kind of put my money into index funds and stuff, but I want to actually properly invest my money in 2026. One of my favorite phrases that I see is that there's one thing about making money, the second is knowing how to keep it. And I'm definitely learning how to keep it in 2026, and I didn't learn how to keep it in 2025. One of the mistakes that I made, which is probably the biggest mistake that I made, was investing in the wrong people. I'm unlearning a lot of bad business practices that I learned in 2025. And while I do believe that you learn from every single investment you make, I invested in people that didn't play long-term games with long-term people. I invested in the wrong type of marketing. And while it made me realize that I want to invest in people that know the things that I want to know, I also want to invest in people that are aligned with the way that I live my life. Because if you don't, then you're naturally going to be learning things that point in the direction of things that you don't want to do. So I learned a lot about that. And one of the things that I talk about here is that I learned a lot about not having aggressive marketing. I definitely went to Dubai boy a little bit when I was first making money because I thought controversial marketing worked. It's probably because I outsourced my marketing too quickly, to getting too many editors in, to having someone actually running my content. And I realized that just lost my authenticity, and it went too polarizing and too Lambo boy flexing, which definitely probably cost me some reputation points at the end of the day. The other thing that I had a massive ego about, which I'm very happy that I got rid of, but I did definitely not do this soon enough, was running ads, because I believed that organic content was my brand and everything I talk about was organic content, and I don't want to like hard sell or run ads. And actually learning that organic was my USP, but that you need to have predictable growth, and ads are predictable growth. Organic is not predictable. Something can go viral or something can not go viral, and it can be a pretty similar bit of content. So I wish I'd run ads earlier once I had product market fit, and now I'm running ads. My God, my life is easier because when I'm sleeping and when I'm doing other work, I know that there's content running in the background getting me eyeballs. The other thing that I did, which I kind of alluded to multiple times in this video, is yes, my Instagram account got deleted, and it got deleted for absolutely no reason. I'd say one of the most frustrating things to happen, but at the same time, it actually wasn't frustrating because, as I spoke about, emotional resilience was super important to me. But one of the things that I recommend, and I'm really making sure I don't do, is don't ignore advice because you think you know better. I had multiple people, including Matt Gray, when I hosted the mastermind. One of the big things he talked about at the mastermind in his speech was about getting people onto email. And I believe that wholeheartedly as well now, because I don't want to be reliant on Instagram, especially when you try and contact them and they basically give you nothing. So that's one thing that I learned, which I'd highly recommend, making sure that you don't have just reliance on one platform. And another thing is that I learned that paying the best people is just the best thing to do. And I was trying to save costs. A great example of this is I had in my first round of the AI army bill, and I got them built by a VA, a guy who didn't really know anything about building chatbots. I just said, go and work it out. And that's because I wanted to save money, realistically. It took me 8 months, and I've recently just binned them. And then I've paid someone a good amount of money who knows what they're talking about. And he literally built me an incredible chatbot in 2 days. My God, I wish that I had done that earlier. And in 2025, I learned that you should definitely not pay people to take shortcuts, and that the right people cost a good amount of money, but it is always worth it. The last thing I want to talk about is I thought way too small. And at the start of 2025, I was still thinking pretty big. I was like, I'm going to do 100K months. But my God, now I look back at what I was thinking in 2025 and I was playing way too small. So I want to talk about that because there was a pivotal 2 moments in 2025 which solely changed my life. And that's kind of what I'm taking into 2026. The backstory was that I got to about November, December 2025, and I achieved all of the goals that I mentioned up here. I'd really achieved like, okay, look, I want to leave my corporate job and I want to achieve the fact that I could prove people wrong. I had proved people wrong, and I had earned enough money that I didn't need to work for multiple years, which was a great feeling to have. But I felt too comfortable. I felt that I'd lost motivation. I'd lost my why. And as an entrepreneur, your why is so important. And the 2 things that happened to me, which were incredible, was firstly, I went on an Australia road trip. You can see my fancy little photos here on that road trip. And I closed the business for Christmas and just basically journaled while driving down the East Coast in this van. It was incredible in itself as a trip, but it helped me reset and work out the life that I actually wanted. Firstly, it made me cancel my Dubai move. The other thing combined in this story, and I'm gonna get onto exactly what this taught me and what I'm gonna push forward into 2026, was this Sydney mastermind that I went to. I went to a mastermind in Sydney that's reminding you it cost me $15,000 for 2 days, which didn't scare me at all. But in itself, looking back at the start of 2025, my God, that's a lot of money to pay for 2 days. But it was so worth it. I've never invested a better dollar in my life than this mastermind, because I was the poorest person in the entire room. I asked the speaker, Dan Martell, what should I do if I'm feeling a lack of motivation? I feel too comfortable. I asked basically the problem that I experienced in this mastermind. And I promise you, he laughed at me. Like, he literally laughed at me. It was very fair. Like, it was completely fair, because this guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And there's me having made my first $500,000 and saying, I've got too comfortable. I'm lacking motivation. So alongside that, I realized one thing, which was I needed to think far bigger, alongside caring about obviously family, connection, community, and that being really important. And that's one thing this trip made me realize. But I also realized that I had to think bigger, is that I needed to build something bigger than me, bigger than just making money for myself, and bigger than just living a great life. I needed to be impact first. The first thing is, like, in my life, I've realized before even about business that everything, having spent time with these great people and also done some reflection on this trip, that everything is about community. It's about building a community, and it's everything about family and feeling that connection. I left Bali because I felt that it was a great place to live, but I didn't build genuine long-term connections because people just leave the whole time. And that's why I'm checking out Cape Town as a place to live. I realized that a life best lived is not a life where you just move around the world because of where you pay the lowest amount of tax. I spoke to people in this mastermind, and they said, yeah, Australia is very expensive in tax, but I love living here. And I realized that I was thinking and dictating my life on monetary terms and paying a little amount of tax. And I think that I should live my life on where I want to be and then accept the tax situation after. I also realized that family and friends are the priority. The richest life is where you have the deepest connections made. And I met so many people who are making millions of dollars a year, and they were just empty, completely empty. And that's because they had focused on money and not building a life where they had great connections around them. And I also, as I mentioned, want to make sure to learn how to look after my wealth. And that is something that I want to focus on in 2026, is actually learning what to do with money as opposed to how just to make money. In the business, I am mission focused now. I talk about thinking bigger. It's not just about making me money now. It's about helping 10,000 people build and scale a business that lets them live their best life through entrepreneurship. I am going to think bigger in 2026. Stop being scared to actually aim high. Stop being scared to have a big team and to actually build a proper business that has impact in the world, not just this lifestyle business where I have minimum amount of impact. I want to build a big mission and a big company. And I want to think at all times impact first. Do so many things for free that it actually feels ridiculous, because that is about having impact in the world. Yes, I know that will make my business grow quicker, but at the same time, I know I need to think bigger. How can I affect more and more people? Hence the 10,000 people number. I want to make $2 million in 2026. I want to go pro with content. I know that my main bottleneck, being theory of constraint focus, is that I do not have enough people that know me. So I'm assembling a media squad, a group of people that are gonna help me build my brand. I'm posting more on Instagram 4 times a day with 5 trial reels a day. I'm spending 10K a month on ads, posting twice a week on YouTube minimum, posting on a YouTube business channel, doing a repurposing on TikTok, LinkedIn 10 times a week, brand building. What I want to get you the impression across here is that I am taking my brand to the next level. I want as many people to know about me as possible, because in order to do that, I can then have the impact that I want to have, hit as many people as possible with my message and my value at the same time. I also want to lean into email into 2026, because my God, I do not want to get to a point where I am spending time trying to get my Instagram account back again. I want to get to know my clients more. One of the things that really hit me at the end of 2025 is one of my clients said, can we actually get to know each other before we talk about business stuff? And I was like, yeah, I actually think that's such a good point, and it's something that I really want to make a considerable effort to do. I'm hosting events every single quarter for my community, as well as hosting retreats and masterminds on top of that. And that's because I want to get to know people better, as I said, at more events. And I'm also doing live streams as well to basically get people to trust me more. Everything that I believe I'm good at is about speaking to people in front of the camera, giving my value and being able to show what I can do. And I know that's going to help me scale my business. But what I want to talk to you about is the 4 things that I'm focusing on in 2026, because this is the way that I think online businesses will win. And if they don't focus on them, will lose. The first is basically trust, as I mentioned in all my content, but trust has never been lower because of AI content, rent a car, Lambo boys, and genuine online business scams. Trust is so low, and I'm focusing all my time on this. How can someone spend as much time with me as possible? That is focusing on YouTube videos, focusing on raw organic content, and Better Call Saul live streams. I want people to spend time with me to build up as much trust. And I think in 2026, if you don't try and build trust, you're really gonna struggle, because people are genuinely so skeptical. A lot of people have already bought courses and they're not so interested in just paying money to see if things work. They need to really feel like you're gonna be the person that helps them. The second thing is community. With the rise of AI, people want more and more connection. Everyone is working online, and that's one of the main reasons that people join my community, is because they want to have a community, as well as also getting their advice on how to scale an online business. So my focus in 2026, and I think for everyone, the key will be in-person events, pop-up events, interacting with your social media audience. Any ways that you can host events is going to be a great way to build a community and get people who value not only the information you give them, but the connection and the connections they get from the events that you host. And the third is paying for implementation. AI support, and we've just built something called Soulbot, which is so good at answering the surface level questions, means that you can have 2 options. You can have MRR, so monthly recurring revenue, where you have your community and you have a chatbot, and that people actually can get a lot of value on. We've got a lot of people who are constantly paying for that right now. Or on the other hand, you can have high ticket programs, because everyone's trying to give you their AI chatbot. People are willing to pay loads of money in order to get personalized one-on-one advice to you. So you can charge more and more for personalized advice, and then charge less and less and have a monthly recurring revenue with your chatbots and your community. So that's a really cool way of like segmenting up your time to make sure your time is worth a lot, but also at the same time giving value to people and having that monthly revenue coming in. And then lastly, which is such a controversial opinion that no one speaks about, is seizing the UK opportunity. The UK is starting to wake up to the online world, and I think a lot of 9-to-5ers have jumped into the world and done well from the UK. And right now, I think people are going to be a lot more skeptical. So I'm genuinely very keen on not only consolidating my brand in Australia, the EU, Canada, and the US, but also really focusing on building the UK audience. Because of course the UK market is a big market. In general, it's known as being a skeptical market, but I think that is becoming less and less as time moves on. And I want to seize that UK opportunity, and I would highly recommend doing that as well. So that is 2025. I hope you learned a lot. And if you're looking to know the actual system that I use to be able to achieve this and the fundamentals from everything that I teach my clients, then I have a video up here which is going to tell you the system, the ecosystem model that I've created, which has helped 100+ of my clients build and scale online businesses. So click that, and I'll see you in the next video.